Dave Huxley was having one of those days. Again. The kind where the artificial gravity in Sector 7 decided to take a coffee break. 3 diplomat quarters had plumbing backups from whatever those Galuvians called food. And the station's central computer thought it would be hilarious to translate everything into interpretive dance instructions. Just another Tuesday on Harmony Point, the galaxy's premier diplomatic hub and, incidentally, Dave's personal hell. Maintenance request. Ambassador ZKKL's quarters. Environmental controls stuck at negative 40 degrees, chirped Dave's comm unit. Oh, fantastic. Because nothing says good morning like frostbite, Dave muttered, grabbing his toolkit. As the only human maintenance engineer on a station with 247 alien species, Dave had become fluent in fixing things that, by all laws of physics, shouldn't even exist. The pay was garbage. The hours were worse. But hey, Dave had a front-row seat to intergalactic politics, even if that seat was usually underneath a leaking pipe or inside an air duct. Dave trudged down Corridor E17, dodging a group of floating Kuvorians who were engaged in what appeared to be passionate debate or possibly mating rituals. He'd learned not to ask. Huxley. A voice that sounded like gravel in a garbage disposal boomed from behind him. Dave turned to face Station Director Krelb Nor, a 7-foot-tall mass of tentacles and bureaucratic authority. The director's central eye was twitching, never a good sign. Sir? Dave straightened up, hiding his toolkit behind his back like a kid caught with contraband. Emergency situation. The Galactic Council is convening in 30 minutes. Every diplomat on station needs to attend, Krelb Nor said, 3 of his tentacles simultaneously signing what Dave recognized as Krelb Norian profanity. And you're telling me this because, Dave asked, already knowing he wouldn't like the answer. Because someone needs to watch the package that just arrived for the Nexorian delegation while they're in the meeting. Dave's eyebrows shot up. Wait, you want me to babysit a box? Not exactly a box, Krelb Nor's mandibled mouth twisted in what might have been a grimace. More like a temporary resident. Very important, very classified, very alive. Every self-preservation instinct in Dave's body screamed in protest. Sir, with all due respect, I'm not qualified for. Double pay for the shift, Krelb Nor said. But I'm sure I can handle it just fine, Dave finished smoothly. Krelb Nor made a sound that might have been a chuckle. Excellent. Report to Secure Containment Room 12, authorization code Babysitter. And Huxley? Yes, sir? Try not to die. With that cheerful send-off, the director slithered away. Dave stood frozen for a moment, toolkit hanging limply at his side. Try not to die wasn't exactly standard operating procedure on Harmony Point. Usually. 20 minutes later, Dave stood outside Secure Containment Room 12, his maintenance uniform feeling suddenly inadequate protection for whatever awaited him inside. Hera, authorization code Babysitter, Dave said to the station AI. Authorization code accepted. Welcome, temporary caretaker Huxley. Please be advised that touching, feeding, provoking, or making direct eye contact with the contained entity may result in personal injury or death, Hera's pleasant voice chimed. Wait, what? The door slid open before Dave could protest further. Oh, and Mr. Huxley? Hera added. The containment field is currently experiencing minor fluctuations. Nothing to worry about? Probably. But Dave was already inside, the door sealing shut behind him with an ominous hiss. The room was dimly lit and larger than Dave expected. In the center sat what appeared to be a shimmering energy field containing nothing he could see. Hello? Dave called out cautiously. A low, rumbling purr answered him. Dave's stomach dropped. Hera, what exactly am I babysitting here? Classified information, Mr. Huxley. But if you insist, you are current caretaker for juvenile specimen of Nexorius vorpal terrificus. Common name, Nexorian Void Hunter. Dave felt all the blood drain from his face. A what now? The apex predator of the known galaxy, Mr. Huxley. Quite rare, quite lethal, quite hungry, based on vital signs. The containment field flickered. "Oh, and the containment field just failed," Hera added casually. "Have a pleasant shift." Dave had exactly 3 seconds to process this information before the containment field dissolved completely, and something large and fast moved through the darkness. "Hera," Dave yelped, pressing himself against the wall. "Emergency protocols. Now." "I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that," said Hera. "Emergency protocols require authorization from security personnel, all of whom are currently managing the diplomatic meeting." "You've got to be kidding me," Dave whispered. A shuffling sound came from the corner of the room. Dave squinted into the shadows, his heart threatening to break through his ribcage. Slowly, a shape emerged. It wasn't the nightmarish death machine Dave had expected. It was, well, still nightmare-inducing, but in a different way. Standing about waist-high to Dave was what appeared to be a 6-legged creature with iridescent scales shifting between deep blue and purple. 2 rows of delicate spines ran down its back, occasionally pulsing with bioluminescent light. Its head featured 3 eyes arranged in a triangle, all currently fixed on Dave with unnerving intensity. "Hi there," Dave said, trying to keep his voice steady. The creature cocked its head, the spines on its back rippling in a wave pattern. "Hera, can this thing understand me?" "Nexorian Void Hunters are highly intelligent, Mr. Huxley. Though juvenile specimens typically understand more than they can communicate." The creature took a step forward, then another. Dave held his breath. "Should I run?" Inadvisable. Nexorian Void Hunters can reach speeds of 120 kilometers per hour in short bursts and consider fleeing prey a delightful challenge. Not helping, Hera. The creature was now just a meter away from Dave. It made a chirping sound, then did something utterly unexpected. It sat back on its haunches and extended one clawed appendage toward him, almost like a greeting. Cautiously, Dave reached out his hand. "Fascinating," came a voice from the door intercom. "It's displaying socialization behaviors typically reserved for Nexorian pack members." Dave nearly jumped out of his skin. "Who's that?" "Dr. Millicent Okonkwo, xenobiologist," the voice responded. "I'd come in and help, but I've accidentally locked myself in decontamination. The creature arrived earlier than expected, and I was rushing." "Great," Dave muttered. "So I'm alone with the galaxy's deadliest predator, and the expert is stuck in a glorified shower." "The good news," Dr. Okonkwo continued, "is that it seems to like you." As if to confirm this, the creature chirped again and butted its head gently against Dave's still outstretched hand. "It's petting me?" "More accurately, it's marking you with its scent glands," Dr. Okonkwo explained. "In Nexorian culture, that's oh my." "What?" Dave asked, noticing the creature had started circling him, making a sound that resembled purring. "It appears to be imprinting on you. Nexorians have complex familial structures. If I'm interpreting its behavior correctly, it now considers you its parental figure." Dave stared at the deadly apex predator, which was now rubbing against his legs like an oversized, lethal cat. "You're joking." "I'm afraid not. Congratulations, Mr. Huxley. You're a father." The creature looked up at Dave with all 3 eyes and made a sound that was unmistakably affectionate. "What am I supposed to do with it?" "Him," corrected Dr. Okonkwo. "Based on the spine coloration, it's male. And for now, just keep him calm. I'm working on getting out of decontamination." Dave looked down at the creature. "So do you have a name?" "Nexorians typically don't name their young until they've made their first kill," Hera helpfully supplied. "Well, that's not happening on my watch," Dave said firmly. He studied the creature's spines. "I'm going to call you Spike." The creature Spike chirped happily and rolled onto his back, exposing a belly covered in smaller, diamond-shaped scales. "Does he want a belly rub?" Dave asked incredulously. "I wouldn't recommend," Dr. Okonkwo started. But Dave had already tentatively touched Spike's belly. The creature made a sound like a delighted squeaky toy and wriggled in apparent ecstasy. Did you know, Hera chimed in, that Nexorian Void Hunters can disembowel prey twice their size with a single swipe of their hind claws? The current record is 17 seconds from first contact to complete evisceration. Hera, Dave said through gritted teeth, I'm begging you to stop helping. The next few hours were educational. Dave learned several important things about Nexorian Void Hunters. First, they were fast. Incredibly fast. One moment Spike would be contentedly sitting beside Dave, the next he'd be across the room investigating something shiny with the ferocity of a toddler on espresso. Second, they were smart. Smart enough to figure out how to open the supposedly secure containment room door within 20 minutes of meeting Dave. Spike. No. Dave lunged as the creature chirped triumphantly, the door sliding open to freedom. Dave's maintenance belt caught on the doorframe, leaving him sprawled dramatically while Spike bounded happily into the corridor. Hera, emergency containment protocols. I'm sorry, Dave. The specimen is now outside designated containment areas. Would you like me to alert security? No. Dave scrambled to his feet. Security's idea of containment would involve weapons, and Dave had already developed a surprisingly strong attachment to the deadly alien predator. Just tell me where he went. Tracking biosignature. The specimen is currently heading toward the central food court. Dave ran faster than he'd ever run in his life. He arrived at the food court just in time to witness absolute pandemonium. Diplomats of various species were either frozen in terror or scrambling to escape as Spike happily bounded from table to table, sampling abandoned meals with enthusiastic chirps. Everything's fine, Dave called out, trying to project calm authority while sweating profusely. He's friendly. Completely friendly. A Mirulian diplomat fainted, their 8 arms going limp simultaneously. Spike. Dave clapped his hands. Come here, buddy. To his amazement, Spike immediately perked up, abandoned a half-eaten plate of what appeared to be still wriggling protein cubes and bounded toward Dave with evident joy. Good boy, Dave said, awkwardly patting Spike's head as the creature nuzzled against him. Now we're going back to the room, okay? Spike chirped and fell into step beside Dave, who was acutely aware of the stunned silence following them as they exited the food court. His comm unit buzzed. Huxley. Director Kreldnor's voice grated. Why am I receiving reports of a Nexorian Void Hunter loose in my station? Just a slight containment issue, sir. Under control now. Do you have any idea what would happen if the Nexorian delegation found out we let their royal gift escape? Royal gift? Dave's stomach sank further. The creature is a ceremonial offering from the Nexorian Queen to the Galactic Council. Worth more than this entire station and everything on it, including your worthless hide. Understood, sir. Totally contained now. No problems here. The link went dead and Dave looked down at Spike, who was contentedly chewing on what appeared to be Dave's multi-tool, having somehow extracted it from his belt. You're going to get me fired. Or executed. Or both. Marchin. Spike chirped sympathetically. Back in the containment room, Dave found Dr. Okonkwo finally freed from decontamination, frantically scanning data tablets. Oh, thank goodness, she said, looking up. You found him. And you're still alive. Your confidence is overwhelming, Dave said dryly. What's all this? I've been researching Nexorian biology. They're incredibly rare. Most people go their entire lives without seeing one. The fact that you've bonded with him is unprecedented. As if to demonstrate this bond, Spike promptly crawled into Dave's lap and curled up, purring contentedly. He's just a big, deadly space cat, Dave said, surprised to find himself smiling. A big, deadly space cat that can tear through reinforced hull plating and survive in vacuum, Dr. Okonkwo corrected. But yes, essentially. Over the next few days, Dave found himself balancing his regular maintenance duties with caring for Spike. The containment room had been upgraded with better security measures, but Spike was permitted to accompany Dave on certain maintenance tasks after Dave discovered the creature had an uncanny ability to detect structural weaknesses and power fluctuations before they registered on instruments. How did you know that junction was going to fail? Dave asked after Spike growled at a seemingly perfectly functional power coupling, only for it to short out seconds later. Spike just chirped and headbutted Dave affectionately. The station residents gradually became accustomed to seeing the human maintenance worker accompanied by the deadly predator. Some even seemed to find it charming from a safe distance. Of course, it couldn't last. The night of the Galactic Council welcome reception, Dave had been explicitly instructed to keep Spike secured while the station's dignitaries mingled in the grand hall. "Stay," Dave commanded, pointing firmly at the comfortable nest of blankets he'd arranged. "I'll be back in 2 hours. Hera will play your favorite holovids." Spike tilted his head, all 3 eyes blinking in sequence, a gesture Dave had come to recognize as understanding. Dave patted him once more and left for his shift, securing the door behind him. 30 minutes later, his comm unit erupted with panicked messages. The first, Void Hunter in the Grand Hall. The second from Director Krelb nor Huxley. "Get here now." Dave ran, cursing continuously under his breath, praying to every deity in the galaxy that Spike hadn't eaten anyone important. He burst into the Grand Hall to find not carnage, but something possibly worse. Spike, center of attention, performing what appeared to be tricks for delighted diplomats, who were tossing him treats. "Look at that," exclaimed a Terrellian ambassador. "It can solve spatial puzzles faster than our best mathematicians." Spike was indeed manipulating a complex 3D puzzle sphere, his claws delicately rearranging the pieces with surprising precision. "Fascinating creature," commented another diplomat. "Is this part of the entertainment?" Before Dave could answer, Director Krelb nor materialized beside him, somehow looking both furious and terrified simultaneously. "The Nexorian delegation arrives tomorrow," he hissed. "If they discover we've been using their royal gift as a pet—" "I'll get him out of here," Dave promised, moving toward Spike. Spike immediately spotted Dave and bounded over, causing several diplomats to scatter in alarm. The creature chirped happily and circled Dave's legs. "Sorry about this," Dave announced to the room. "Training exercise. Very technical. Diplomatic security and all that." As Dave led Spike from the hall, he could have sworn the creature looked smug. The Nexorian diplomatic vessel was, to put it mildly, intimidating. It resembled nothing so much as a massive predatory fish rendered in gleaming black metal, bristling with what were definitely weapons but which the Nexorians politely referred to as navigational aids. Dave watched from a service corridor viewpoint as the ship docked, his stomach in knots. Beside him, Dr. Okonkwo was practically vibrating with excitement. This is unprecedented. Nexorians rarely leave their home system. No xenobiologist has ever had this kind of opportunity to study them up close. "I'm glad someone's happy about this," Dave muttered. "I'm probably about to be executed for alien dognapping." Back in the containment room, Spike seemed unusually subdued, as if sensing the change in atmosphere. He huddled close to Dave, occasionally making soft whimpering sounds. "It's going to be okay, buddy," Dave said, not believing it himself. He'd grown genuinely attached to the creature. The thought of giving him up felt wrong, especially since Spike had so clearly chosen Dave as his. Well, whatever the Nexorian equivalent of family was. The door chimed and Director Krelb nor entered, accompanied by a delegation that made Dave's blood run cold. The Nexorians were tall, nearly 8 feet, and moved with unsettling grace. Their bodies were covered in the same iridescent scales as Spike, but darker, almost black with hints of deep purple when they caught the light. Their faces featured the same triangular arrangement of eyes, but there was something ancient and calculating in their gaze that Spike's innocent curiosity lacked. At the head of the delegation stood an especially imposing figure wearing what appeared to be ceremonial armor made from materials Dave couldn't identify. "Ambassador Thrasgol," Director Krelb nor announced with a deep bow. "May I present Maintenance Engineer Dave Huxley, who has been caring for the royal offspring." Dave managed a bow of his own, though his knees threatened to give out. "It's an honor, Ambassador," The Nexorian ambassador studied Dave with unnerving intensity. So you are the human who has been raising the future Hunt Prince of the Nexorian Empire. Dave's mouth went dry. Hunt Prince? Indeed. The offspring is directly of the royal bloodline, intended as both gift and representative to the Galactic Council. Thrasgull's voice was surprisingly melodic. We were concerned when we learned a human had been assigned as caretaker. Before Dave could respond, Spike, who had been hiding behind Dave's legs, suddenly perked up and chirped loudly. He bounded forward, stopping just short of the ambassador, and performed a complex series of movements that appeared almost ceremonial. The Nexorians collectively made a sound of surprise. The offspring performs the greeting of recognition, one of them whispered. Ambassador Thrasgull knelt, extending one clawed hand. Spike approached cautiously, sniffed the offered appendage, then turned and scurried back to Dave, pressing against him protectively. Extraordinary, Thrasgull said, rising slowly. The offspring has rejected the familial connection. Is that bad? Dave asked. It is unprecedented, the ambassador replied. The offspring has chosen you as its guardian. It sees itself as human. The other Nexorians began chittering among themselves, clearly agitated. This is unacceptable, declared one wearing slightly different ornamental armor. The Hunt Prince must return to Nexoria for proper training and education. The Queen will not tolerate this contamination. Contamination? Dave felt a flare of indignation. I've taken excellent care of him. Him? Sneered the Nexorian. You've assigned it a gender based on your limited understanding of our biology? And a name, no doubt? Dave straightened his shoulders. His name is Spike. The room fell silent. You named, the ambassador said slowly, the royal offspring of the Nexorian Empire. Spike? It suits him, Dave said defensively. As if to support this claim, Spike chirped and raised his spines in what Dave had come to recognize as happiness. Enough of this, the second Nexorian snapped. We are taking the offspring now. Step aside, human. Dave didn't move. You're scaring him. Commander Vex Trowel, the ambassador warned, remember where we are. The commander ignored the warning and stepped forward aggressively. Move, human, or be moved. Spike growled, a sound Dave had never heard him make before. His spines flattened against his body, and his three eyes narrowed to slits. I suggest, Dave said quietly, that you back up, slowly. You dare threaten me? I am Vex Trowel, battle commander of the Nexorian fleet. I'm not threatening you, Dave replied. I'm trying to prevent him from seeing you as a threat to me. For a tense moment, no one moved. Then Commander Vex Trowel took a step back. Ambassador Thrasgull made a gesture that might have been conciliatory. Perhaps we can discuss this situation diplomatically. The offspring returns with us, Commander Vex Trowel insisted. Or we will consider it an act of hostility by the Galactic Council. Choose carefully, human. Before Dave could respond, Spike suddenly moved between him and the Nexorians, raised himself to full height, surprisingly impressive for his size, and made a sound that was unmistakably speech-like. Dad, he said, in accented but clear Galactic standard. Dad, stay. The room erupted in chaos. It spoke, gasped Dr. Okonkwo, furiously taking notes on her tablet, in Galactic standard. The Nexorians were equally stunned, chittering among themselves in their native language. Impossible, Commander Vex Trowel snarled. The vocal structures do not develop until maturity. Ambassador Thrasgull studied Spike with new interest. And yet, he speaks. This is significant. Director Krelb Nor, sensing diplomatic disaster looming, attempted to take control. Perhaps we should continue this discussion in more formal surroundings? The council chamber is prepared for. Dad, Spike repeated, pressing against Dave's legs. No go. No go. Dave knelt down to Spike's level, ignoring the tension in the room. Hey, buddy. It's okay. These are your people. They've come a long way to see you. Spike's three eyes blinked in that sequential pattern Dave recognized as understanding, but the creature shook his head emphatically. Stay, Dad. This farce has gone on long enough, Commander Vextral declared. He made a sharp gesture, and two Nexorian guards moved forward, devices resembling capture poles in their hands. Spike growled, the sound reverberating through the room. Stop. Dave stood protectively in front of Spike. You're going to get someone hurt. Move aside, human. The commander's voice cut like a blade. This is Nexorian business now. The guards advanced. One of them activated their device, which hummed with energy. What happened next occurred so quickly that Dave could barely process it. Spike let out a high-pitched sound that made everyone wince, then darted between the guards with blinding speed. Before anyone could react, he had squeezed through the door which someone had failed to secure properly and vanished into the corridor. After it, Commander Vextral roared. Wait, Dave called. You'll just scare him more. But the Nexorian guards were already in pursuit, with Commander Vextral close behind. This, Director Kreldnor said with remarkable calm, is exactly the kind of diplomatic incident I was hoping to avoid. Ambassador Thrasgol turned to Dave. You, human, find the offspring before my commander does. For everyone's sake. Yeah. Dave didn't need to be told twice. He sprinted out of the room, trying to think like Spike. Where would he go? The station's alarm klaxons began blaring, red emergency lights flashing in the corridors. Hera, Dave shouted as he ran. Status report. Multiple security alerts, Mr. Huxley, the AI responded calmly. The Nexorian juvenile has entered environmental control systems via maintenance duct J14. Commander Vextral has activated the Nexorian vessel's internal security systems without authorization. And oh dear. What now? Dave didn't slow his pace. Long-range sensors detect multiple unidentified vessels approaching at high velocity. Weapons systems active. I believe we are under attack. Because of course they were. Because Dave's day wasn't complicated enough already. The station shuddered as something presumably weapons fire impacted the outer hull. Hera, locate Spike's biosignature. Environmental Control Hub, Section C. Advised, Nexorian security forces are converging from the opposite direction. Dave changed course, taking a maintenance shortcut that would get him there faster. As he raced through the narrow service corridors, his mind worked furiously. Who would attack a diplomatic station during a high-profile visit? Pirates? Terrorists? Did it matter? What mattered was getting to Spike before the Nexorians did. He burst into the environmental control hub to find Spike huddled beneath a console, spines flat against his body in obvious distress. Hey, Spike, Dave said softly, approaching slowly. It's okay. I'm here. Spike's eyes brightened at the sight of Dave. He chirped anxiously. I know, buddy. It's confusing. Dave knelt beside him. Those are your people. They want to take you home. Spike made a negative sound. Home here, Dad here. Dave's heart twisted. I know, I feel the same way, but... The station rocked with another impact, harder this time. The lights flickered. Station defenses failing, Hera announced. Unknown hostiles attempting to breach docking bay 3. Dave made a split-second decision. Spike, can you sense where the power is weakest? Where it might fail next? Spike tilted his head, then nodded. He scurried from under the console and moved to a central control panel, placing one clawed appendage on it. Add power, he said, tapping a section of the display. Fix help. Dave examined where Spike indicated a critical power junction that connected the station's defense grid to the main reactor. If it failed, the whole station would be defenseless. Good job, Dave said, quickly accessing the system. Now we need to. The door slid open, revealing Commander Vextral and his guards, weapons drawn. Step away from the offspring, the commander ordered. Spike growled, moving protectively in front of Dave. "We don't have time for this," Dave said urgently. "The station is under attack. That junction is about to fail, and if it does, we're all dead." "A transparent distraction," Vextral sneered. The station shook violently, throwing everyone off balance. Alarm klaxons intensified. "Hull breach in Docking Bay 3, Hera announced. "Intruder alert. Security protocols compromised." Commander Vextral hesitated, then tapped a communicator on his armor. "Ambassador, situation report." Whatever the ambassador said made the commander's expression darken. "Understood." He looked at Dave with new intensity. "It appears a pirate faction known as the Void Scourge has breached the station. They specifically targeted our vessel's communication array." "Probably because they knew the Nexorians were here," Dave said, still working on the junction Spike had identified. "High-value target." "The Offspring is the target," Commander Vextral said flatly. "The Void Scourge has attempted to kidnap royal hatchlings before." Dave looked at Spike, who was watching him work with intelligent eyes. "Then we need to protect him. Together." For a moment, Commander Vextral seemed to consider this. Then he nodded curtly. "Fix your junction, human. We will secure the perimeter." Dave worked frantically, rerouting power and stabilizing the failing connection. Spike stayed by his side, occasionally chirping suggestions that, surprisingly, made perfect sense. "Almost got it," Dave muttered, making a final adjustment. The door exploded inward. Through the smoke stepped three figures in mismatched armor, weapons raised. "Nobody move," shouted their leader, a scarred humanoid with cybernetic enhancements visible across half his face. "We're here for the Nexorian brat, and we'll kill anyone who gets in our way." Commander Vextral and his guards had taken cover, weapons ready but outnumbered. Dave looked at Spike, who was watching the pirates with surprising calm. "Trust me," Dave whispered. Spike chirped once, affirmatively. "Now," Dave shouted, hitting the final command sequence on the junction. The lights went out entirely, but only for 3 seconds, exactly as Dave had planned. When they came back on, the pirates were momentarily disoriented. It was enough time for Spike to move a blur of speed and purpose. He darted between the pirates, not attacking but creating confusion, drawing their fire away from Dave and the Nexorians. Commander Vextral seized the opportunity, taking down one pirate with precise shots. His guards handled another. The lead pirate, realizing the trap, swung his weapon toward Dave with murderous intent. He never got the chance to fire. Spike launched himself through the air with incredible velocity, colliding with the pirate and sending him crashing into the wall. The pirate's weapon clattered to the floor. For a heart-stopping moment, Dave thought Spike might kill the intruder. Instead, Spike pinned him with one clawed appendage and looked back at Dave, clearly waiting for instruction. "Good job, Spike," Dave said, breathing hard. "Hold him there." Commander Vextral approached slowly, weapon still raised, but his expression transformed. "The Offspring fought to protect you," he said, sounding genuinely astonished, "and followed your command to spare the enemy." "His name is Spike," Dave said firmly. "And yeah, we make a pretty good team." The aftermath of the pirate attack brought chaos, cleanup, and surprising clarity. The Void Scourge raiders had indeed come specifically for Spike, hoping to ransom the royal offspring back to the Nexorian Empire for a fortune. Their plan might have succeeded if not for the unusual bond between a human maintenance worker and an alien apex predator. In the council chamber, now serving as an impromptu meeting room since the formal chambers had sustained damage, Dave stood nervously as Ambassador Thrasgold and Director Krelb nor discussed his fate. Spike sat beside Dave, occasionally chirping comments that Dr. Okonkwo was frantically recording for posterity. "The incident has revealed several things," Ambassador Thrasgold said, his melodic voice carrying through the room. "First, that our security protocols require significant revision." Commander Vextral, standing at attention nearby, winced almost imperceptibly. Second, the ambassador continued, that the offspring's development has proceeded in unexpected directions. Dave resisted the urge to correct him again about Spike's name. Probably not the time. And third, Ambassador Thrasgull's gaze fixed directly on Dave, that there exists a bond between the offspring and this human that cannot be disregarded or dismissed. Director Krell Nor's tentacles twisted anxiously. Ambassador, I assure you that the station will provide any compensation or reparations deemed appropriate for this unfortunate situation. Unfortunate? The ambassador's eyes blinked in sequence, the same gesture Spike used to indicate understanding. I did not say unfortunate. I said unexpected. He approached Dave and Spike, moving with that unsettling grace characteristic of his species. Tell me, Maintenance Engineer Huxley, what do you believe should happen now? Dave swallowed hard. I think Spike should have a choice. A choice? Commander Vex Trowel sounded incredulous. Yes. Dave knelt beside Spike, meeting his triangular gaze directly. Spike, these are your people. They can teach you things about yourself that I never could. They can take you home, to your real family. Spike looked at the Nexorians, then back at Dave. Dad, family. I know, buddy. Dave's voice caught, but I'm just one human. Your royalty. A Hunt Prince. That's important. Ambassador Thrasgull observed this exchange with evident fascination. Perhaps there is another solution. All eyes turned to him. The offspring Spike has demonstrated remarkable abilities. Intelligence beyond what we expected at this developmental stage. Adaptation to non-Nexorian environments. And he paused, a capacity for connection that our species often lacks. What are you suggesting, Ambassador? Director Krelbnor asked. A cultural exchange. The first of its kind between Nexoria and humanity. The ambassador's scales shifted color slightly, a sign of excitement, Dave guessed. The offspring remains here, under the guardianship of Engineer Huxley, but with regular instruction from Nexorian cultural attaches. In return, Engineer Huxley will serve as a human cultural ambassador to Nexoria, sharing insights about your species. Commander Vex Trowel looked like he might object, but a subtle gesture from the ambassador silenced him. You would let me keep him? Dave asked, hardly believing what he was hearing. Not keep, Ambassador Thrasgull corrected. Guide. Nurture. As a dad, I believe is the term. Spike chirped happily, his spines glowing with bioluminescent joy. Director Krelbnor's tentacles writhed in what might have been relief. This is an unexpected but welcome diplomatic solution. The station would be honored to host the first Nexorian human exchange program. There is one condition, the ambassador added. Engineer Huxley must be promoted to an appropriate diplomatic rank. Maintenance worker is not a suitable title for the guardian of a Hunt Prince. Dave blinked. Promoted? Me? To interspecies relations coordinator, perhaps? Suggested Dr. Okonkwo, who had been unusually quiet, and with appropriate salary adjustments, of course. Of course, Director Krelbnor agreed quickly, clearly eager to cement the unexpected diplomatic victory. 1 month later, Dave sat in his new quarters, considerably larger than his old maintenance compartment, reviewing reports on his tablet. Spike lounged nearby, focused intently on a Nexorian language lesson displayed on a specialized console. His comm chimed with a message from Dr. Okonkwo. Meeting with Tralaxian delegates in 10 minutes. Ring Spike, they specifically requested his presence after hearing about his diplomatic insights. Dave smiled. Spike, time for work. The young Void Hunter perked up immediately, shutting off his lesson. Help Dad, diplomat. That's right, buddy. Apparently you're the star attraction now. As they walked through corridors that had once been off limits to maintenance personnel, passing diplomats and station staff nodded respectfully. You know, Dave said, when I took this job, I never expected to become an interspecies relations coordinator. Spike chirped thoughtfully. Dad, good job. Spike, help. Yeah, you do help. More than you know. A passing Mirulian diplomat overheard and chuckled. The famous Intergalactic Dad and his apex predator. I've been telling everyone back home about you two. Dave groaned. Is that what they're calling me now? Intergalactic Dad? Dad best title, Spike said decisively. And really, Dave couldn't argue with that.